Welcome to Facts TV News, where everything is true. 4-year-old dies after being left in car at Wellington Town Basic School. A 4-year-old boy died on Thursday after being left in a locked car for several hours outside a basic school in Wellington Town, St. Andrew. The Constable Communication Unit confirmed the incident. It is similar to the case that happened a month ago, but we have not prepared an official report yet, as it is still under investigation, representatives of the CCU reported. Reports are that the tragedy unfolded after the boy and other children were transported to the school by a teacher about 9 a.m. on Thursday. The other children exited the vehicle, but the boy was not removed from the car. Hours later, the teacher discovered that the child was still in the car. The boy was taken to the Bustamante Hospital, where he was pronounced dead. This is the second such incident in just over a month. In January, 18-month-old Shalini Dobson died after being left in the car for 8 hours. No one has been charged in relation to the death, which reportedly involved a police officer. Drive-by shooting in Portland leaves man dead, another injured. A motive is yet to be identified in Wednesday's drive-by shooting in Buff Bay, Portland, which resulted in the death of one man and the wounding of another. Dead is 36-year-old Ricardo Everett of Woodstock Housing Scheme in Buff Bay. Reports are that shortly after 9 p.m. Wednesday, several men were standing on the roadway in the area when a car drove up with armed men who opened gunfire at the group. The vehicle then sped off. Everett was later found suffering from gunshot wounds, while another man was shot in the leg. Both men were assisted to the hospital, where Everett was pronounced dead and the other man admitted. Investigations are ongoing. 5 boys remanded in killing of St. Elizabeth man. The 5 St. Elizabeth boys implicated in the killing of a 62-year-old were remanded when they appeared in the St. Elizabeth Parish Court on Thursday. The parents of the boys, whose ages range from 10 to 17, were also in court. The suspects were initially taken into police custody following the killing of Delroy Waters at their home earlier this week. Reporters understand that the boys had not been charged with murder. The boys are to reappear in court on March 1. Biker dies in St. Anne crash. 26-year-old Akeem Brown, otherwise called Jungle, of Orangetown in St. Anne died as a result of injuries he sustained in a motorcycle accident on the Longdover Main Road in the parish on Thursday. Reports from the St. Anne's Bay Police are that about 3:50 a.m., Brown was traveling with a pillion on his motorcycle when, on reaching a section of the roadway, he allegedly lost control of the vehicle and ran off the road. The police were summoned and Brown and the pillion were transported to hospital, where Brown succumbed to his injuries. The passenger, a female, is admitted in stable condition. The police have advised that investigations are ongoing. Out of control, molasses truck causes 4-vehicle crash on Spur Tree Hill. The occupants of 3 vehicles narrowly escaped serious injury after a truck transporting molasses crashed on the accident-prone Spur Tree Hill on Thursday. Police reports are that about 5 p.m., the driver of the truck lost control of the unit while traveling uphill, causing it to go backwards. The out-of-control truck collided with 3 vehicles. There were no reports of serious injuries. The Spur Tree Hill Main Road links Mandeville and its environment to St. Elizabeth and points west. Heavily laden, slow-moving trucks often hinder traffic on this steep, difficult hill, and there have been a number of tragic accidents involving trucks down the years. Government partners with USAID in Youth Violence Prevention Program. The Ministry of National Security (MNS) on Friday launched a joint initiative with the U.S. government through the United States Agency of International Development USAID aimed at preventing youth crime and violence. The U.S. $7.2 million Violence Prevention in Targeted Vulnerable Schools and Communities in Jamaica is the first of its kind between USAID and MNS, at which USAID providing US $4.2 million and the MNS applying $3 million of its own resources. VPTVCS is a government-to-government award, meaning USAID assistance directly supports Minister of National Security-led initiatives and will focus on enhancing the relationship between at-risk youth, vulnerable communities, and members of the Jamaica Constabulary Force, specifically members of the Community Safety and Security Branch. Building these relationships is recognized as being critical to enhancing citizen security. As part of the overall strategy in crime reduction and community resilience, the activity will be implemented in 4 parishes, 9 communities, and 22 schools in Jamaica over the next 2 years. Speaking at the signing ceremony at the office of the Prime Minister, Minister of National Security Horace Strang noted that having the support of international partners such as the United States government ensure that the program is both far-reaching and impactful. The over 16,000 students and 10,000 parents whose lives will be directly impacted through this partnership will produce a significant multiplying effect that will positively influence the communities from which they originate. The U.S. government looks forward to the successful implementation of this activity and how it will positively impact the lives of the citizens of Jamaica by enhancing the safety and security of its people, said Charge of the Affairs of Embassy Kingston, John McIntyre. Targeted interventions will include providing opportunities for music, sports, and technology programs to be implemented in schools and communities, enhanced case management and social services for at-risk youths, deepening child diversion and restorative justice programs. Also, an expansion of the Safe Schools program. This program is a further demonstration of the U.S. government's steadfast commitment to support our neighbor, partner, and friend Jamaica, McIntyre stated. Also participating at the signing ceremony were USAID Jamaica's country representative Jason Fraser and the Permanent Secretary of the Ministry of National Security Courtney Williams. Government launches Education Expenditure Review. A World Bank UNICEF review of Jamaica's education sector says that while the country's spending on education has remained relatively high, it has not resulted in the expected learning outcomes. World Bank Human Development Program Leader for the Caribbean, Timothy Johnson, noted that while the level of spending over time has been adequate, the novel coronavirus pandemic has imposed additional needs on the system in a context of increased restraint. The high expenditure level in education in Jamaica have not resulted in comparably high educational outcomes, suggested that there is room to improve efficiency, Johnston told the hybrid lounge, which was also attended by Minister of Finance and the Public Service Nigel Clark and Minister of Education and Youth Favour Williams. If you compare with similar countries the level of spending on education in Jamaica, it has been adequate, although because of the COVID-19 pandemic, there are going to be additional costs and burdens on the sector, and they will need to be addressed to help children catch up, particularly in the next 2 years or so, he stated. He noted that capital expenditure on education was low relative to the country's infrastructural needs, particularly at the secondary level, but suggested that there exists opportunity to optimize the school network. He said that compared to some other countries, Jamaica was spending less on early childhood education and more on tertiary education, and compared the percentage spending on teachers' salary in Jamaica as somewhat more of its total budget than in the case of other countries. According to Johnston, Jamaica is facing multiple challenges recovering from the novel coronavirus pandemic, restoring growth, reducing fiscal deficits, and also improving the quality, efficiency, and equity of the educational services at the same time. A child in Jamaica can complete 11.4 years of pre-primary and secondary schooling by age 18. However, when the years of schooling are adjusted for quality of learning, this is only equivalent to 7.1 years, a learning gap of 4.3 years. As a result of school closures related to COVID-19, Jamaica risks losing 1.3 learning adjusted years of school, he pointed out. It is imperative that policies are guided by data, and the overview and recommendations provided much needed material for review by the government and wider public discussions about possible shifts in the policy priorities and areas of focus for the allocation of funds, he noted. He was supported by USEF country representative who saw the public expenditure review as critical to the decision-making that will impact the education of Jamaican children. She said that it was an issue heavily consuming the minds of parents, teachers, school administrators, and students across the island. It is an issue that you need to care about deeply, stated the USEF country representative. She said the review noted that educational spending in Jamaica was higher than in several other countries. However, we must all remain concerned about the current method of investment, which has not resulted in the anticipated outcome, such as higher student enrollment and completion of roles, especially among boys and girls in secondary schools, he said. She noted that before COVID-19, Jamaican children had a learning gap of 4.5 years, which has seen risen to the loss of 1.3 years in addition to the 4.5 years in 9 years of schooling. This translates into a significant annual loss per student, which will have significant negative impact on human capital and financial growth for Jamaica, she said. Minister of Education Favour Williams responded that she welcomes the analysis from the World Bank and UNICEF on education spending in Jamaica. She said that it adds up with others, including the recent tabled report from the Jamaica Education Transformation Commission that is being analysed to help determine the ministry's policy directions in the short, medium, and long term. It is imperative that policies are guided by data and the overview and recommendations that provide much-needed material for review by the government and the wider public about possible shifts in policy priorities and areas of focus and allocations of funds, she noted. She also welcomed the review's recognition that Jamaica's educational budget was far bigger than most countries in the region and elsewhere on the basis of its relationship to gross domestic product, GDP. Please remember to subscribe, like, share, and click the notification bell for daily updates.